Alright. Hello everybody? No, I'm not on camera. Still not on camera. Alright, there we are. Yeah. Alright, hello. My name is MrUppercaseT. This is Squids Odyssey. If you've never seen this game before, this is a turn-based RPG, so think like Final Fantasy Tactics. The twist is that all of our units are squids, and the way that you move your units around the level is by grabbing your squids by the tentacle and using this like an elastic to slingshot them around the stage. So it's one part Fire Emblem and one part Angry Birds, which is a combination you didn't realize you wanted in your life until I said it out loud 2 seconds ago. So I'm just going to reset the game here, and we'll get ready to go. All right, start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this game has a lot of cutscenes. Fortunately, they're all skippable, so I just skip that, and we're off. So my movement right now is very particular. I want to kill this guy on the right-hand side and leave myself in a position such that one of these two guys on the left will attack me, and the other one will not move. So that should be fine. So there he goes. Now I'm just going to pick up this chest really quick. And now everything's super nicely lined up. I can just double bounce, kill this guy. Now I'm right next to the next guy, so I can just double bounce into him. He goes down. And now I'm right next to the exit, so I can just get there in one turn. So you see, it's sort of like we're playing pool. Like all of our early movement sets up our subsequent movement, that sort of thing. It's pretty interesting. All right, so this level is a dashing tutorial. So Steve here is a scout, so he has a dash attack. You can basically just tap the screen whenever he's moving, and he'll dash in whatever direction he's facing. I'm messing this up slightly. And I can just pass the turn whenever I want, because there's no enemies around, and get my dashes back. So we knocked that guy off the edge. Edges in this game are deadly. Don't think about it too much. We're underwater, but edges hurt. If you fall off an edge, you die instantly, and same with enemies. So our first menu, I'm going to remove Vaheen from my party because she's useless, and I'm going to level up Steve to level 7. You level up using pearls, which is the currency as well as experience in this game. I have just enough to get Steve to level 7, which makes him really strong right now. So I just removed Vaheen from my party, but she's still in my party, and that's because some levels are just scripted to have certain party members in them, like this one. So she'll disappear in like a mission or two. But for now, Steve can just clean up all these levels by himself. He one-shots most of these things, and this guy, I need 2 hits, or 3. The way those double, triple bounces work, basically, as long as you're recoiling backwards, you can still dash. So you just hit an enemy and then dash into them instantly. That's a really quick way of defeating enemies. I tried to get a double bounce there, but I messed it up. It also gives you some bonus pearls, which is actually kind of important for the experience routes. But this level is an introduction to the classes. So we have 4 squids, 1 of each class. We have Steve, the scout. He has his dash attack. We have Clint, the red guy. He's a shooter, so he has a ranged attack that he can use. Sammo is the yellow one. He's a trooper, so he has an AoE ground pound attack. And Vaheen is the purple one. She's a healer, so she can heal allies by bumping into them and also damage enemies normally. I've messed this up slightly, so I tried to use Vaheen, but as it turns out, she has no attack power. So I'm going to do a little bit more damage with Clint here. Yeah, or not. I wanted to hit him into the spikes there, but I messed it up. And I'm not going to bother using Sammo because he's super weak. Everyone is level 1 except for Steve, so they don't do a whole lot of damage. So now we just have one more wave of guys. So I'm going to double bounce there, but I'm unfortunately out of stamina, so... Okay, it's telling me to heal, which is fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave Sammo right here. So paradoxically, the safest place to be when fighting these crabs is right next to them, because then they'll ground pound and do nothing else. Whereas if you're not right next to them, they'll move, attack you, sometimes multiple times, and then ground pound. So that works nicely. I can't get double bounces today. That's fine. That's the end of the level. So you can basically forget all of the class stuff I said, except for the scout part, because scouts are the only thing we're going to use for most of this game. So here we have the solo Winnick level. So Winnick here is buying time for the rest of our squids to escape, so we just need to survive for 5 turns. And while I do that, I will tell you my favorite Winnick facts. So Winnick here is an old and wise fatherly mentor figure towards all the other squids in the party. His level is question mark. You can't level him up. You also can't equip anything to him. And he's a multi-class character, and he's the only multi-class character in the whole game. And I think my favorite part about Winnick is that he's definitely going to live through this entire game, and nothing bad could possibly happen to him. Because, I mean, why would they get rid of a character that cool? Alright, that's the end of the level. Oh man, Winnick has left the party. Man. So right now the game wants me to recruit Clinton and Samo and add them to my party, but instead I'm just going to buy some hats for Steve and equip them to him, which seems like a better use of my time. So, we removed Vaheen from our party, Winnick left our party, and we were supposed to recruit Clinton and Samo, and we didn't, so now our party consists of just Steve. And this is actually really awesome, as we'll see in this level. So I'm just going to go around and start picking off enemies. Steve moves really, really far in one turn because he's a scout. And then once I kill this guy, I'm just going to pass my turn, and hey, it's my turn again. So the way that this works is enemies will always attack the closest person in your party, and if they can't reach anyone in your party in one turn's worth of movement, they'll just skip their turn. So with some careful routing, we can basically just enemies will never get turns. I'm going to pass the turn again. Hey, it's my turn. Because the only enemy was way, way up there. So yeah, scouts are super, super good for this because they can get really, really far in one turn. They can stay out of range, whereas most other classes have trouble with this. And it's my turn again. I pick up the secret star there, which gives me some extra pearls. Alright, so that's the final enemy. And so yeah, that whole level, the enemies just did not get to go at all. And that's going to be a pretty common thing with some careful routing. Alright, explore the area. Seems simple enough. So the game says the objective is defeat all enemies. That's actually not true. We just need to defeat this one giant crab, who I'm going to attempt to take down really quickly. There we go. And that spawns the exit. So I just don't need to fight the rest of those guys. I went right past it. That's fine. The game has a habit of doing that, lying about the mission objectives. So for instance, this level, it says defeat all enemies. That's actually not true. We just need to get to the end of the level as fast as we can. So I'm going to just do that and not fight anything. I'm going to kill this one guy because he's kind of annoying. And then we're going to hit this doorway here where you see those eyes coming out. This is actually, this spawns Capono. This is a secret character in this game, and he's now a member of our party. All of his stats are atrociously bad. His attack, defense, and HP are all really, really low. But his dash stat and his stamina are both really, really high, which means he can move incredibly far in one turn, which makes him very useful. So I'm going to recruit him right away, and I'm actually going to add him to my party and replace Steve, because we still only want one party member. I'm equipping all these hats. So hats in this game, they stack. If you just equip a hat one time to a squid, it will permanently bestow its stat bonus to that squid. Which isn't broken or anything, that's actually just part of the progression. But I've purchased a bunch of scout hats that can only be equipped to scouts, so I can equip them to both Steve and Capono. So as you can see, Capono is now extremely overleveled, so he can just, he has 6 dashes, I believe. So he can just deal with enemies very, very quickly. And again, there's no one around me now, so it's my turn again. The story is I'm rescuing this blue squid you see in the center of the screen. She's surrounded by enemies, but she's not actually in aggro range of anyone, so she's actually perfectly safe. I should have enough for this. Okay. This guy's not usually in range, but I messed up slightly. That's okay. So enemies actually get turns, as it turns out. It's ridiculous, I know. Okay. I didn't like that angle. Again, you have to be very careful with only one squid in your party if... what do I want to do here? If your squid gets knocked off the cliff, for instance, you just lose instantly. I'm not going to be able to kill this guy. So I'm slightly off my usual route at this point, but that's fine. Ow. Sea urchins. So ideally I wouldn't have got sucked into that current, but that's fine. Okay, so he goes down. That's the end of that stage. So we just rescued that blue squid whose name is Vesper, but we're never going to use her. So we're back on this turtle again. This is actually a pretty difficult stage. There's a lot of enemies in this level. And there's also a lot of edges. But Capono is really strong, so as long as we don't fling ourselves off accidentally. Okay, good double bounce. So I'm going to go over here and get the secret star again. So the secret star, there's one in every single level, and it gets you 300 extra pearls. It also gives you a full heal and refreshes your stamina. But mostly I'm getting it for the pearls, because since there are a lot of levels where you don't actually need to fight enemies and we're just going to be skipping them, we're going to be a little bit short on XP otherwise. You also get 300 extra pearls if all your squids survive every level, and you also get 300 pearls if you beat the level within a certain number of turns. And that's where the majority of our income is coming from all those level awards. Okay. Knock these guys off. So most of these enemies take 2 hits, so knocking them off when you can is nice. So I have a red stamina bar right now, which means I have like a lot of power, which is kind of makes me a little nervous. I picked up a random power-up that gave me this. Okay, that's good. I'm just gonna pass here actually, and then get normal stamina back and finish him off. So these glass jars on the ground, those are random power-ups, and it's the only RNG in this game. Enemy AI is not random, and the amount of damage you do is completely fixed as well. Alright, so I'll just zoom out and show this level real quick. So this level is huge. It's filled with enemies. Casually, you're supposed to travel through this level with your entire party, beat up everyone as you go. But the objective is reach the boat, which is the end of the level. So I'm just going to pass the turn here, which is there's no enemies near me, so I got my stamina back. And now we can just dash on to the end of the stage. This is the other thing that scouts are really good at, is skipping encounters. So that's the level. No need to fight there at all. Same thing here. Objective is reach the pretty girl. It sounds like not combat to me. I wanted to avoid spawning these guys by going to the left, but I messed it up slightly. That's not a big deal. Okay, so I picked up a shell there. That was a random power-up, which makes you immune to damage when it's not your turn. So then I just pass the turn and get my stamina back. And the reason I did it immediately is because another random power-up is the smoke bomb, which overwrites the red shell and is much, much worse. Okay, that was super dangerous, but we're fine. I nearly died there, but managed to save it. So we just rescued another squid. That's Venus, who we're also never going to use. She's a healer. That's not true. We use her in one mission, but that'll be in a little bit. Once again, objective is just to get to the end of the level, so we're going to do that. This one, we kind of need power-ups to cooperate with us in order for us to do it. Okay, a shell is very good. This is less good. Okay, we didn't die. That's cool. Nearly. So yeah, those yellow fish, they like to play pinball, apparently. Yeah, and sometimes they get you in a little holding pattern like that where it's you can sometimes die, but we're fine. All right, so I guess story-wise, that's the big bad there. Basically, black ooze is falling from the skies and corrupting all the sea creatures, so that's why we keep running into these creatures, and we're trying to, figure out why it's leaking and stop it. So right now we just went to the capital city and it's under siege, and so we're escaping out these tunnels. We're leading the population of the city out with us. So here the objective is to survive for 8 turns while everyone escapes. Yeah, there sure are a lot of enemies spawning over there, not in aggro range of me. Yep. So one guy does actually spawn right in front of us, so we have to take him out, but that's fine. Goes down really quickly to a triple bounce. And then I'm going to pick up this chest, which has a really useful helmet for later. I'm trying to get right next to it. There we go. Because as it turns out, that corner is also safe right next to the chest if you get really close to it. We did it! We rescued everyone. So to celebrate, we are playing a game of King of the Hill on the turtle with our entire party that you never see. So we're playing as Samo, and our objective is to knock everyone else off. So you can't damage your allies in this level, you can only knock them backwards. But if you use consumable items, you can actually just murder your whole party instead, and that also wins. But I don't have any items, so we're not going to do that. So now Vaheen's here is nicely lined up to get knocked off. I'm not in a great spot, I'll move here and then pass. And now Venus comes at us, so she can get knocked off as well. Very nice. Good stuff so far. Meanwhile, so Winnick is still alive, and he's decided that the best course of action would just be to take on the entire enemy base by himself. Since, I mean, he's here already, so. He is fortunately part scout, which makes him very good at skipping levels, which is what we're doing right here. We don't need to fight any of these guys. He's also really strong. He has 3 dashes and 3 ground pounds that he can use every turn, which is a ton, but we don't need to fight anything, so. So the rest of our party has returned to look for Winnick, and this is the same level I just did with Winnick now in the present, and you see it's covered in ooze, and the whole area has become corrupted. So what I'm going to do here is just faceplant into that sea urchin. This is a little shortcut. No need to go all the way around when you can just go right in between. I mean, we have HP, we might as well use it. Okay. So these anchors, you grab onto them, which makes it impossible for enemies to knock you back if you're holding onto one. Doesn't come up a ton in the speedrun, but. Alright, another flashback here, and I'm going to use my first consumable item. So I open up my inventory and use salmon, which gives me the red stamina bar, which is normally, you get it from random power-ups. It makes this level a lot less treacherous. If you run out of stamina and end your turn in this level, you almost certainly die. So the red stamina bar really helps. Particularly this bridge is just a death trap. So I knocked that crab out of the way by knocking some shrimp into him, so I can hopefully just go around him. Very nice. Alright, so I'm going to base and do some menuing. So I'm adding Steve back to my party, buying a couple of hats that I've picked up. Again, I can equip them to both scouts since they're scout hats. So they both get a bunch of bonus stats. And then I'm going to level up Capono here to level 19, which is incredibly over-leveled for where we are right now. At level 19, he gets another dash, which is important. So I suppose I should talk about consumables. So that consumable that I just used, the category that I'm doing is called Frugal. And what that means is I'm allowed to use consumable items that I find, but I am not allowed to purchase any of them. Because you can just buy consumable items in the shop, and they're super, super, super gross. I messed that up, that's fine. And so we're just not allowed to use them in this category. We're allowed to use ones that we find, but not ones that we're not allowed to buy any. Which makes this a lot less completely ridiculous, because we would just be not leveling up anyone and just spamming consumables every level, which I find not very fun. Anyways, so we have 2 squids in our party now. We brought Steve back. Oh, that's actually nice. I've got that guy lodged in the corner there. So Capono's cleaning up this area down here, then Steve's handling up top, which works out really nicely. I was aiming for the anchor. There we go. There we go. That guy goes down. Now Steve just needs to clean up this guy. And then conveniently the exit to the level is right here, so Steve can just go right to it. And this brings us to the first boss. This is the Guardian. He has 2 eyes. Each of his eyes have 300 health. And ideally I would just do this in like one singularly large attack, but that's actually pretty difficult. His hitbox is incredibly wonky. I'm actually pretty happy with that, just like getting those double and triple bounces. So 1 eye down. We just have his 2nd eye. But yeah, as you can see, Capono is very, very strong. Okay. He didn't kill us, which is good. He can knock you off the edge with these attacks, but it looks like we'll be okay. Alright, just 1 eye left. Okay, that was very good. Exactly what we were looking for. Now there's just his head, which has 60 health and goes down really quick. And that's the end of chapter 1. So we saved this area of the ocean from the leaking ooze, and now we're going to the Wild West. So upon arriving here, we discover that the black ooze is already here, which is surprising. We expected to not find them here, I guess. We've just come here to look for more squids to help us fight, but it's already infested. Also, if you listen to the background music, there's 2 tracks playing right now. That's because I entered this chapter too quickly and the game is glitched out. That'll go away at the end of this level, though. Alright, back down to 1 music track. So again, game says defeat all enemies. Not true, we just need to defeat this one giant guy. He's only susceptible from behind, so we just go around him. I'm doing this kind of poorly, but that's fine. There he goes. And now we need to reach the saloon, which is actually a pinball machine if you look at it closely. The doorway is like the paddles, and then the next mission will be inside the pinball machine. The backgrounds in this game are actually really pretty. There's a lot of details that you can notice, I guess. So this is a solo Steve mission. As you can see, we only have Steve in our party right now. Because again, some levels the game will just script. And we're rescuing this this cowgirl here named Jane. And she's actually in aggro range of enemies, so they'll actually fight. But she can handle herself, as you can see. She doesn't really need our help. Alright. Some menuing to do here. What am I doing? I'm going to unlock some squids here, and I'm going to buy some helmets, and in particular I'm buying some shooter helmets and some healer helmets, which seems odd because I don't use any of those classes, but the game is going to have some scripted levels that's going to force us to use them, so. So doing some simultaneous level ups here, and now I just need to equip everything. So you can level up squids on this screen as well, but as you can see when I'm equipping hats, they do this little like dance every time you level them up. Every time you equip something, they'll do the same thing if you level them up on this screen, which is why I use the other screen to do it. Also, you can level up 2 squids at once on the other screen. So, okay, I think we did that well. So the fastest level in the game right here, and we're done. Okay, that level is just literally just a cutscene, and then we go to the next level. I don't know what that's about, but okay. So again, we're in the Wild West, so we have dynamite. This game really just throws every Wild West trope at you. Every one imaginable. I'm gonna grab this star here. You could skip this secret star, but I'm just gonna grab it for safety in case I accidentally get someone killed at some point or do something wrong. Okay, Capono should be able to clean this up. He has 7 dashes now. Capono just keeps getting more and more dashes the more you level him. Steve is stuck at 4 and he's never gonna get any more. But yeah, he really just can kill just 1,000,000 enemies in 1 turn. Oh, I'm out of dashes. Okay, that's fine. So this next level, we need to hit all these levers to barricade the town. So this is a solo Steve level, and it's supposed to be sort of like a little bit of a novelty where you're running around and you're trying to avoid all the enemies and just like finish the level as fast as you can. But that's like, this looks totally normal for us because that's what we've been doing this whole speedrun, but I actually killed that guy. That was weird. I meant to go around him, but that'll work too. So I'm just passing the turn whenever there's no enemies around to get stamina back. But that's it. So Steve is barricading all the exits to the town because we're being overrun by ooze creatures, and then while he's doing that, the rest of the party is fighting. So we have a couple of scripted levels where we can't use scouts, which is kind of annoying. So this first one is we have the 3 shooters, none of whom I've really leveled up or anything. Clint I leveled up to level 4, which is still very low, but I didn't bother with any of the other 2. So Jane here is actually level 11. We just got her in our party, so she's actually pretty strong, but still, none of these shooters are that strong, really. I was not supposed to shoot that guy. That's fine. I messed that up slightly. I'm sending Vesper here to pick up a very powerful item that I'm going to need for later, which is stuck up here. So we'll do that. So I just need to be careful because all these squids, they're really fragile. They deal enough damage, but they're all just incredibly fragile. So I need to not take any hits. So I'm going to do some hit and run tactics here, where I fly in, hit one guy, run away. And I'm sort of at the mercy of power-ups here. Good power-ups can make this go a lot faster. I didn't get anything good there, so I'm just going to shoot that guy and run away. I would have liked to have seen a red shell. And I'm not going to bother with Vesper. She's not... doesn't do a lot of damage. Okay. So I'm going to go for this power-up. Hopefully it's something good. Okay, red shell is good. I mean, makes me immune to damage, so... So there's a secret star there, which I don't think I have enough stamina to reach, which is kind of unfortunate. So I'm just going to stand here. Yeah, still don't want to bring in Vesper. Okay. Yeah, Jane is at least tanky, so she can survive. I'm going to shoot this guy. He goes down in one hit. But yeah, this is sort of a glimpse into what this game is supposed to more look like casually. It's a lot of back and forth with slow-going combat, but... we just have a few missions of this. So this level is called Meat Shield, and it's named as such because we have the two healers and Samo, the tankiest guy in our party. And at the start of this level, he makes some comments like, "Oh yeah, as long as I have these, like, I believe he calls them sexy nurses, like, I'm invincible and I can do anything." But he's actually level 1 and does, like, no damage. So he's just going to stand by and let the healers actually do this, which is kind of amusing. I, in fact, actually want him to die, ideally, because passing the turn with him just takes forever. And I'm not doing this very well, but okay. So, Samo down, which is good. Ideally, I don't even want to use Vaheen either, because she actually doesn't do a ton of damage. I want to just do this with just Venus here. Also, the power-ups, which are ordinarily random, are guaranteed to be cocktails in this level. So they guarantee heal you and give you a stamina refresh. That's one of the 5 random power-ups. So they're just not random in this stage, which is nice. Okay. Ideally, I want to hit this guy into the spikes. Very nice. So he goes down. The large crab is by far the most threatening enemy. Okay, that's actually good that I didn't kill that guy because as soon as he dies, the next wave spawns. I can actually heal a little bit here. Blink. That should be fine. It's the last wave here. Alright. But yeah, you can see these levels without scouts are really, really painful. They're just very slow going, and it's actually very easy to die and just mess them up. But that went pretty well. Alright, so this next level we're just chasing this seahorse. So he runs away every turn, and every turn that you pass, he gets further and further away. So the secret is to just hit that switch, which opens up a shortcut. Otherwise, it's like impossible to get to him in one turn. I want the star. There we go. Because of course, this is the Wild West, and we need horses or seahorses. Ha 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 ha. All right, next chapter here. I got the music glitch again, so you can hear 2 soundtracks playing right now. So these enemies, these armadillos, they cannot be damaged. So the only way to kill them is to knock them off the edge. Fortunately, scouts are very good at doing that too. That was a good angle, actually. Good stuff. Alright, that'll work. And we just go to the end of the stage. So the only way to actually damage armadillos is to use seahorses. So seahorses have their own form of movement. They have this weird charge-up attack where you have to just time it properly. And so seahorses casually are not super useful, but the trick is that you can actually dismount a seahorse while it's moving, just like that. Because if you're riding a seahorse and it runs out of movement, your turn just ends, even if you have like 6 dashes remaining, as I do right now. But if you just dismount it while it's like decelerating, then you can just finish your regular turn afterwards. So that makes them tremendously more useful. Okay, so I just need to finish that guy off, which I can do with this seahorse. And you can just get on multiple seahorses during your turn, as long as it's a fresh seahorse. If you get back on one they've ridden already, it's out of movement and your turn ends. This is pretty clean. Alright, so reach the camp. That sounds like not combat to me, so... Oops. Alright, that works too. I didn't mean to hit that dynamite, but I meant to just faceplant into the sea urchins, but that works too. Okay, so I am going to faceplant into this one. A little bit of a shortcut. We can pick up the secret star this way. So story-wise, Jane is leading us to where the ooze is leaking from, because the ooze is also leaking in this area, obviously. And she has tricked us and instead has led us to the native camp, because of course we have cowboys and Indians, I guess. And I glitched the level so the enemies didn't spawn. Cool, now I need to restart. I don't know why that happens, but sometimes the enemies just don't spawn in this level and you can't beat it, so... Okay, there we go. It happens from time to time. So I'm going to hit this enemy into the portal on purpose there. That seems like it would be slow because now I need to like follow him, but instead I'm actually just going to use one of these cannons to finish him off. So these red fish, they're cannons, and if you bump into them, they'll fire a little cannonball. So I finish that guy off. This spawns the next wave, and now there's another enemy down there, and I can just hit this cannon a second time and finish him off. And I just don't need to go down there at all, which is really nice. I can pop over here and grab the star. And just pass the turn to get stamina back. So that was a shuriken. That's a random power-up you can get. It deals % HP damage to nearby enemies. Usually it's pretty bad because it wastes time. It sort of did there. It wasn't bad. It actually dealt useful damage. But my final wave, I just needed to knock off this guy. That'll work, and then finish off this guy. Perfect. So here we're meeting Ronomo, who's the leader of the natives, and he will join us in battle if we can catch the black seahorse before he does. This is another seahorse chasing level. There's like 6 or 7 of these throughout the game. This is the last one we're gonna do though. So the secret here is to just know where the secret star is, because it gives you a stamina refresh, which lets you do it in one turn. Because again, every time you pass the turn, the seahorse runs further and further away. We get this power up, which has a cocktail, so we get our stamina back, which is good. And we can just make it over. Alright, so Ronomo has joined our party, and he's actually a scout, but we're not even going to bother adding him, because it would just take too long to equip all of the hats. And we have like 7 or 8 hats that we'd have to equip, which just takes too much time. And we just don't need him. Capono does enough by himself. So again, no combat in this level, we just need to get to the end. You see, again, these levels are just huge, sprawling levels filled with enemies, and we just don't need to fight any of them. So the exit's right here, and we're good. So this next level is sort of like a side story. This is Clint and his rival Cleef, because Clint is a sheriff and this town ain't big enough for the 2 of them or whatever it is. Clint is only level 4, and we equipped like 1 hat to him. It was specifically for this mission, actually. So here comes Cleef. He's going to hit us for 23 damage. And now I have 2 HP remaining, which is just enough. That's all we need. So now I can just knock him off the cliff. And that's the end of the level. It's just like actually impossible to defeat that guy otherwise. Okay, so next menu, I'm gonna upgrade my seahorse. I'm gonna buy some hats, so we have some more scout hats to pick up. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of leveling as well. So I'm gonna level up Capono to level 26 and Steve to whatever level, 14 I guess. Sometimes you can get him to 15. It doesn't really matter too much at this point. We don't use Steve a ton. Alright, so we're descending into a mine, which is where the ooze is leaking from. You see these red glowy enemies. They they're immune to damage. The only way to kill them is to knock them off the cliff. But after they move, they will actually explode. And so sometimes they're in really awkward spots, like where he is standing right now. So it's easiest to just grab an anchor and let this problem take care of itself. So I'm just going to continue doing that, grabbing anchors. Capono's super tanky, so he can take a lot of explosions before dying. So we just finish this guy off, and this is the final wave here. Yeah, because these guys are just a nightmare to try and knock off. You often wedge them into corners and stuff, and it's just awful. So that'll work. So descending into this mine, we find that Brad here is drilling and causing the ooze to leak. So the objective is to reach Brad, and to do that, you're supposed to defeat all the enemies in the level. But alternatively, you can just faceplant into the sea urchin repeatedly, and there's just enough room to sneak on past here. Could you fall off? There we go. Okay, perfect. Then you can just follow him that way and skip the whole level. All right. Anyone here see Star Wars Episode 5? Spoiler warning. Winnick is evil. What? How did that happen? So Winnick has been corrupted by the ooze and is now a villain, so we have to fight him. I'm going to try and get a quick kill here. I want to kill him in one attack. Can't do it. So now I was trying to skip this second phase that he's transforming into right now. Now he's going to start randomly dodging attacks, which is annoying. Okay, Capono's out of stamina. Hopefully Steve can get this, and hopefully he plays nice. He's playing nice so far. Okay, that'll work. Yeah, it's really awesome when you can just kill him in one attack, but couldn't get it there. But at least he played nice and didn't dodge a bajillion attacks. So as it turns out, Winnick was a load-bearing boss, and this mine is now collapsing. So we need to escape. And Winnick has also escaped, FYI. Okay. Alright. Picking up a red shell there is really nice because I'm out of stamina. So he tried to attack me through the red shell, but couldn't do it. Okay. I didn't mean to trigger that dynamite. Now I need to wait for it to explode. There we go. That's fine. And we escape. So story-wise, Steve is now distraught that Winnick has turned evil and wants to return to the capital city, which has now been taken over by ooze, to confront Winnick. And this is basically a suicide mission. So Clint here is going to the ranch where he grew up, where he buried a very powerful weapon so that he can give it to Steve, so that Steve has a chance. So this is a solo Clint level. Fortunately, there's no enemies because he's only level 4 still. But at the end of the stage, we are going to have a rematch against Cleef, rather. And, wow. And Cleef at this point has 120 health, he has 40 armor, and we don't even deal 40 damage, so all of our attacks just do nothing. So we're going to need to get a little creative. There's no edge that's really convenient for knocking him off. These cannons are not firing today, which is nice. Sometimes they fire, sometimes they don't. I don't know why. So we'll see how I deal with Cleef in a minute. So there's an old saying, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, the Squids have a similar saying, and it's don't bring a gun to a Kraken fight. So I'm just going to use a consumable item. This is the Mighty Kraken. It reduces the HP of every enemy in the level to 1. Then you just shoot him for 1 damage. And that's the end of Cleef. So yeah, you can actually buy those Mighty Krakens in the store, and this is why you're not allowed to. Because we would just be buying one for every single level. As it turns out, in this category, I have access to 2 of them. You can find 2 in chests. So we use 1 just to avoid having to level up Clint 50 bajillion times. Alright, so this level has certain key enemies, so killing that first enemy opens up this passageway. Casually, you really just have to defeat like every enemy in the level because it's unclear how to proceed. But if you know this specifically which enemies are important, you can just kill those. So here I'm aiming at this shrimp in the center here, that one that I just hit. Because he is the sort of load-bearing enemy of this area. So he goes down, which opens up this passageway. And I can just completely ignore all the rest of those guys. I grab the secret star, and now I'm actually going to fling Steve off a cliff. Because he is surrounded by enemies, and there's just no good way to get him to safety quickly. So you just fling him off the cliff. We don't need him. So this area, we just need this one guy to go down. That opens up the next pass. And I'm going to come over here and pick up a chest, which has a very important item for later. Oops, ow, didn't mean to hit that wall, but that's fine. Okay, so right here I'm actually going to use a revive to revive Steve. And the reason for that is because Capono might actually die here. When you kill this next enemy, all this dynamite will explode, and if you're too close to it, you just get killed. Okay, we're out of range, so there's a waste to revive Steve, but that's fine. So we just go to the exit, skipping most of the enemies in the level. We just killed the 4 or 5 that we had to. Alright, so we're picking up this key item, which is the Cursed Shell. This is the reason we came all the way out here. The Cursed Shell is a scout helmet that gives 6 HP, or 5 HP, 6 attack, 6 defense, and an extra dash to whoever you equip it to. So it is a stupidly good helmet. And we can equip it to both of our scouts. Don't die, don't die, don't die. Okay. So by chanting don't die, don't die, don't die there, you prevent him from dying. That's how that works. Okay, our next chapter is Once Upon a Time in the Sea. I'm just going to quit the game here real quick. Don't mind me. So our next chapter is Little Big Squid, as I was saying. I'm not really sure why that works, but if you just quit the game and restart it, you can skip that chapter, which is really convenient for speedrunning. That chapter isn't too long. It's only like 4 missions, I think. But at the end of that chapter, Steve actually dies, and he permanently leaves your party. Spoilers. So by skipping that chapter, we can just keep Steve in our party, which is really convenient. Because his stats are actually quite good. However, the story stops making any kind of sense, because what we're doing right now is we're sneaking back into the capital to look for Steve, even though he's actually in our party right now. Whoops. I did not mean to dash downwards. Fortunately, I didn't go off the cliff. So this level is interesting. There's that chest you see at the very top left corner right now. If you go anywhere near that chest, a wave of enemies will spawn. And the objective here is to defeat all enemies. So if you just don't go near it, that wave won't spawn, and you can actually just not spawn them and you don't have to fight them. So the whole level is designed to sort of trick you into going over there. In particular, there's like this guy in the corner here. I'm going to pick him off with Steve and then not move and not go anywhere else with Steve. Steve has done his job. So we just avoid spawning those 4 guys. And that's the last guy, and the exit's right over here. Works out really nicely. Alright, so now we're sneaking in through the tunnels. This is actually a level from Chapter 1 in sort of in reverse, if you recall. Now with creepier music. So this level is actually quite dangerous. It's super easy to fall off these cliffs. They're all like less forgiving than they look. So I'll try to be really careful. So far we haven't had any deaths, which is nice. It's super easy to just lose like 2 minutes by dying near the end of levels in this game. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna hit that guy. Alright, and that's the end of the level. Alright, this is by far my least favorite level in the game. It's a level where we don't have scouts again. Sneaking back into the capital, we don't find Steve, but we find this squid. This is Magnus. He's a trooper, so he has a ground pound attack, as I'm demonstrating here. And we need to defeat all enemies, which is... he's not very good at killing enemies, unfortunately. He dies like relatively quickly, and just doesn't have a ton of attack power. It takes him like 3 or 4 attacks to hit enemies. And this level is just incredibly awkwardly laid out as well. Oops, okay. Got off a little early there, but that's fine. In particular, there are these portals everywhere, and you really just like don't want to knock enemies into portals because it makes the fight just like take forever, because you have to chase them through. Alright. Okay, that'll... wow, I nearly died there. Fortunately, the seahorse took most of that damage, so that's alright. I'm gonna hit this guy. I want to get to these 5 power-ups down there, but I'm not sure I have the stamina for it. I could use a power-up to do it. I'm gonna use a salmon here, so I can grab these power-ups, because I do not want to pass the turn near these guys. And I'm trying to get below these guys so I don't hit them into the portal. It looks like I'm gonna. Yeah, this guy's just going in. So you see I have to do some backtracking here. That's fine. Alright, that guy goes down. Alright, well we didn't die, which is good. It wasn't especially quick, but I'll take it. I did use an extra power-up, which I ideally did not want to use, but that's alright as well. So I'm going to pass here. Ooh, this guy's actually in range. Yeah, this guy will mess you up if you're too close to him. I thought I was at a range, but it's alright. Fortunately, I had enough health that I didn't... oh no, I'm seriously going to die now. Unless he knocks me away. That was close. Well, that was almost a disaster. Fortunately, it wasn't. Yeah, and that level's super long, too. That would have been like 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so this stage, I really want to do this in one turn, so I use a salmon here. Basically, all 4 of the squids in my party are locked into different rooms like this one, filled with enemies. And so if I pass the turn, I have to wait for all 4 of them to die, which takes forever. So ideally, I just want to escape with Capono. Hello. So you see Steve there. But yeah, Capono at this point I think has 9 dashes, which is his maximum, which is just a ton. And he has a ton of stamina too. So he can do this whole thing in one turn. Assuming I don't bonk into the walls. There we go. Good. I thought that was the end of the chapter, but I was just mistaken. Whoops. Alright, this level has my favorite music in the game. It's the only time we hear this track, but... this whole game has quite a nice soundtrack, in my opinion. So we have this sort of puzzle level with the two, with the Venus and Vesper here. I went out of my way to grab some extra power-ups there, just to, for the final chapter, make it a little easier. Fortunately, no enemies in this level, because, again, these ladies are not leveled up at all. So the only tiny little bit of optimization you can do is trying to pass the turn tactically. You want the 2 squids to be as close as possible together when you pass the turn, so the camera has to pan less far. So for instance, I'm going to pass the turn once more, and I'm going to do it when they're right next to each other, through the wall here. So I go over here, pass. And you see the camera doesn't have to move at all, which saves a tiny little bit of time. So we just picked up a treasure map, which we're never going to use, but And that is the end of the chapter. So we just have one chapter left. That's not what I meant to do. What am I doing? Leveling up Steve. Need to get Steve to level 25 here. Perfect. So this is the final chapter. There are a couple of new enemies in this level. There's the sort of rainbow-colored enemies. So there are the shrimp, and then there are everything else. So the shrimp in this area, these ones right here, they have 150 attack, so they will one-shot any squid in our party. And then the hermit crabs and the large crabs, they have 65 armor, which is quite a lot. In particular, Capono doesn't deal any damage to them. He deals 1 damage, because Capono only has 64 attack, which is why we've basically leveled up Steve. Steve actually has like 80-something attack, so we can actually hurt them. But this is, you're starting to see Capono fall off. Like, Capono is not under-leveled. He's actually, like, basically max level. But his attack is actually just very low, and it's starting to become relevant. So we can knock that guy off the cliff. This guy's much more annoying, so we just use Steve here. But yeah, this game actually has a lot of, there's like a lot of post-game that we're not going to see because this is just beat the game. But in that, there's just a lot of, tons and tons of enemies with huge amounts of armor, and scouts start to become a little less useful. But for beat the game, scouts are just by far the best class. Excuse me. So this game, or this level rather, has a bunch of enemies that are going to spawn every turn for 3 turns. So I'm just going to clear out the enemies are near me so that I don't die, and then I'm going to clean up the level like once everything has spawned. So I'm just going to wait for everything to spawn and then clean it up all at once. We also have an NPC helping us. This is Octoku. He is also a scout, and he's kind of useful here. He's actually level 28, and he has like a lot of attack power and everything, but we're just not going to bother recruiting him because, again, to get him up to power level, we would need to equip a bunch of hats to him, and that would take forever. Okay, I'm kind of sad that I got a red stamina bar here, but that's okay. So again, Capono can't damage these crabs, so I need to sneak around. I'm going for this cannon, which actually deals % HP damage, and it completely ignores armor. So I'm gonna get a few shots in, like this. And then Steve will clean this up. Alright. That was a nice shuriken, actually. That's really good. That was a very clean level, actually. So Octoku is just going to finish off this last guy, and that'll be the end of the stage. Alright, almost done. We just have 2 missions left. We're in the home stretch now. Okay. I would have dashed into that guy, but I just picked up a salmon, which would have probably killed me. So, fortunately not. So ideally I don't use Steve in this level. There are a bunch of like large crabs, but if I can avoid it, I would like to not use Steve. It saves a little bit of time. So I'm going to try and knock these guys off of edges instead. This guy's pretty far from one, but I'm going to try. The salmon really helps here. I'm in fact actually going to use another one to get some stamina back. Okay, that'll work. And I'm just going to pass. Because the exit of this level is going to spawn right where Steve is standing, basically, and that's why I don't want to use Steve. It'll just take a bunch of time to get him over. So I just knock off everyone instead. Okay, I got a red shell, which is actually quite nice, because I'm probably going to have to pass the turn still. So it goes back to my turn. So there's just one enemy left after the shrimp, and this one has 90 armor, so not even Steve can damage him. And this giant crab here, so I have to knock him off the cliff, so I'm using a salmon to get myself some knockback power. You can see I'm starting to like just churn through consumables because it's the final chapter and there's nowhere else to use them. I did not mean to get on the seahorse. Okay, that's fine. That'll work. All right, the final level. There's no boss at the end of this. It's just this final level filled with enemies that we need to clean up. And fortunately, I still have a Mighty Kraken in reserve, so I'm going to use that here. So this, again, reduces the HP of every enemy in the level to 1. And even these guys with 65 armor take damage, and normal attacks always deal at least 1 damage, so Capono can actually clean up this very nicely. I can also use shurikens here, which fires a shuriken at the 3 closest enemies, like so, which just cleans things up. So I kill Capono on purpose and then revive him down here. That's slightly faster than walking. And I have some extra revives, so it's okay. Steve has this area to clean up. This is actually a little bit tight stamina-wise for Steve, but this is okay. You just really don't want to hit that guy into the dynamite. Okay, so grab the star. But yeah, just some final cleanup. I think I'm 1 shuriken short, which is slightly annoying. It means I have to actually tackle a few extra enemies, but that's fine. Okay, so Capono now is going to go this way and clean up down this corner. Also, so this level has a bunch of spawn triggers. Like, there are enemies that spawn when you enter certain areas that I'm like going out of my way to avoid. That's sort of why I'm doing this whole weird routing. But it saves me from fighting like 10 or so enemies. Okay, that shuriken was nice. Hit that guy, hit this guy. And now I'm going to use my last power-up, which is this homing thing, because this switch is surrounded by a spawn trigger and I don't want to go trigger it manually. So time's coming up. It is right now. That is time. All right. It's actually a pretty good time. Sub-hour is always nice. So before I'm going to just play the final cutscene, I'm just going to swap the order of my party before doing that. So we've come all the way out here to commune with the dead with this crystal ball so that we can try and speak with Steve. But instead we just get this guy who says, you know, he gives us this cryptic message about that we should have faith in our friends or whatever. And everyone's like, oh no, that means that Steve is alive. And like Steve's literally right there, like he's standing right there, guys. Steve is alive? Like, yes, he's literally right there. I don't know. No love for Steve, I guess. And that's it. That's Squids Odyssey. So, yeah, thanks very much for having me. I'll give a shout out to the mobile speed gaming community. So I'm playing this on an iPad. This game is actually available for PC as well, if you're interested. But you can find the mobile speed gaming Discord. You can find me there if you're interested in learning this game. And yeah, thanks for having me. This event's a lot of fun.